Hi, you're listening to the My Body, My Story podcast.
You know, you are enough. You are 1,000 times enough. And, you know, take some time to get to know who you are and what you want.
This is the 45 over 45 chapter, where we celebrate rule breakers and role models, the women who inspire us to live life our way and to show their sensuality, beauty, soul, and true essence. Here we talk about what it's like to be 45 plus, adjusting to the changes that come with time, and we'll listen to the stories of our participants. If you have an interesting story to share, we'd love for you to participate. You can email us on info@alexandrawalker.com, and that's Alexandra spelled with a KS, or visit our website alexandrawalker.com.
Hi everyone, and I'm Vanessa. Welcome to our studio and to our project. And while you're sitting in the makeup chair and Chitra is doing makeup for you, I'll be asking you a few questions. So let's start. Tell us a bit about yourself.
Well, thanks, Alex. It's really lovely to be here. A little bit about myself. Okay, so I was born in Malaysia and I moved to Australia as a child. So I was raised in Australia. And I moved to England when I met my husband. I got married in England. I worked in England. I had my first child in England. So I've lived in 3 countries. What else about myself? I love the outdoors, nature, bushwalking. I love adventure, not so much now with 3 kids. I love waterfalls. I have a thing for waterfalls. I have 3 amazing children who are 16 and under, and it's a nice age because they're still young enough to want to spend time with me, which is lovely. And I love good food. I love cooking, as well as I will never say no to going out to a nice meal or someone else cooking for me. That's always a definite bonus. I love learning new things, always liking to broaden my knowledge and study. I don't like clutter and mess, so something I've been trying to be less of is a perfectionist. And I always wanted to be a little bit taller. I'm 5'3" and always wished I was a little bit taller, just so that when I buy clothing I don't have to always get it altered. And the last thing, I guess, this year marks 4 years since I had breast cancer. I was diagnosed with breast cancer, so I guess that was a really big defining moment for myself. And I'm one of the lucky ones that's still here. So that's me in a nutshell.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of things about you, and I want to ask, what is your favorite cuisine? Because you said you like cooking and eating.
Okay. I thought about that when I was coming here. I think my favorite cuisine is Asian fusion, and I tend to love Vietnamese and Thai sort of type food, but with the Australian sort of, the Australian
touch.
Fusion that they do, yes. So I think that's my favourite food, but I do love all food in general, seafood, and yeah.
So how long have you been living in London?
London, we lived for 6 years.
6 years, okay. So do you prefer it here or there?
Good question. I loved it there for the travel, but I think once I had my daughter, we were a little bit more, couldn't travel as much, and then I like it here for the weather. Although the last 2 months haven't been wonderful weather-wise, I still like it here for the weather and the lifestyle.
Yeah, I ask you because I studied in London, and I was thinking probably I would prefer to go there for study or travel, culture, and just to live here because of the weather and more relaxed lifestyle.
That's so true, isn't it? Yes, if I could choose, maybe both would be nice, because the culture and just the access to Europe and being able to travel was just amazing. and just so wonderful, you know, just an opportunity that you don't have here.
So do you want to talk more about the breast cancer, or you prefer not to touch the subject?
Oh, look, I'm more than happy to talk about it. I've always been big on wanting other people to know, because I was 45 when I was diagnosed, so I was still quite young. It came as a big shock. No one in my family had breast cancer before. My children were still quite young. My youngest was only 4 at the time, and you know, it was a hard thing to go through. 1 year of treatment. I lost all my hair. I had no hair. I was very sick. I spent a week in intensive care at one stage from immune-related problems after the treatment. But it has changed me. I think I can definitely say that there are positives. There are positives that come from situations like this as well, and the fact that I'm still here means that I have an opportunity to improve on my life and possibly change some of the things that weren't working for me before. Yeah, and be more grateful, I guess. More gratitude, more.
So how is because my mom got diagnosed with cancer, breast cancer in 2005, and
Wow.
she's still around. So, and me as her daughter and like a family member was also shocked, to learn about that. And I know that she made some decisions for herself. But I want to ask you how your family supported you, or did you feel that support, or what was more important for you, your family support or something else? Like what helped you to go through, or your own change of views, or like?
That's a very good question, actually. I think my family were just very shocked. My parents are older, and a lot of the focus has always been on their health issues. I don't think they expected to have their daughter to be so sick. I did have a lot of support. My sister was very supportive. My best friend, who was also a nurse, was incredibly supportive. So she took me to a lot of the surgery and the treatment, and my husband was supportive too, but his way of dealing with it, I think, is more just get on with it. But he was very supportive, helping with the children. It was a big change because I was the one that was very much involved with looking after the children, and he was very much involved with his work. So for him to have to take on the role of worrying about their school and all the things that I was handling was a big change, for the dynamic in the family. But it has been really, I have to say, it's been a good thing in a way. I think if I continued, the way that I used to live as well, I don't think I really looked after myself very well. I definitely put myself last a lot. If I continued that way, I don't think I would be the person that I am now, and I'm so much happier now and content. And I live with the fear of that cancer sort of coming back. I'm only not even 4 years out now from diagnosis, and it was very aggressive. It had already spread, but there's always people worse off. I have friends that aren't here now. I was able to have surgery where I didn't lose my breasts. Even though I said to the doctor, take it, I don't care, take everything. But the doctor's like, that's not how we do it now. We assess and we decide what's best for you. But on the whole, I mean, I wouldn't wish that on anybody else. Yeah. I wouldn't wish that for anyone to have to go through it. But it's an experience that I'm just wanting to learn from and take as much as I can from it,
So what are you most passionate about?
This was a hard one. I sat there and I thought about this, and I thought, what am I passionate about? I guess I am, because of I think what I've been through now, I'm passionate about just living my best life. I'm passionate about time. I'm passionate about making the most of what I have. I'm passionate about knowledge. And after I was diagnosed and had finished my treatment, I actually went back to do some study. I'd always worked in corporate and business, and so, but I went back and studied coaching, life coaching, mentoring. I studied hypnotherapy, neurolinguistic programming, emotional intelligence, personality. You know, I went back and I did all that and completed some certification and qualifications around that. And so my perspective has shifted. I'm much more passionate now about life, mind and body. If there's something I want to do, I'll do it. For example, I'm here today. If I want to do a singing class, I'll go do a singing class now. If I want to go do an art class, I'll do it. Yeah, so that I think that's what I'm more passionate about now. I'm more passionate about just living and
full life.
Yes. That's right, living a full life and making the most of time.
So everyone knows that with age we change. And what is the positive side of this change? What's the positive changes you've experienced so far?
I have to say, I mean, this year I'm turning 50. And as I was walking here, coming through the Queen Victoria building, I thought, I'm really happy with this age, and if I could press pause now, I would be very happy, I think, for the rest of my life. It's taken a long time to get here. It's taken half a decade. I didn't always have good self-confidence. I didn't have belief in myself, and I think I'm learning now to be, you know, to have more of that. And in terms of what positive changes have I experienced with age, I think it's learning to be more comfortable in my own skin. That was something that I definitely didn't have before. Being more content, and I think I was always worried about becoming something, always having to be at, you know, somewhere that I wasn't at right now. So I think the biggest positive change is just learning to be more content right here, right now. Definitely, and that's something that just comes with, for me, it came with age and it came with wisdom. It came with a few hard lessons along the way. Some people are fortunate enough to have that at a younger age. I think they come to that at a younger age, but for me it took a longer time to get to.
Yeah. And what are the challenges or the biggest challenge you're experiencing with this age?
Okay, right now my biggest challenge, I think, is always working to carve out some space for myself. I have 3 children that still, you know, need me and very reliant on me. I work full time. So I have a week off this week, and I did a yoga retreat, and I'm here, that was yesterday, and the day before today I'm here doing this wonderful photo shoot. So really my biggest challenge is, and my health is still a big challenge. I still have to, you know, maintain my health and my fitness in order. There's been a few other health issues that have arisen since, you know, my cancer treatment as a repercussion of the treatment I've had. So I have to maintain my health. But trying to do that while juggling 3 children and, you know, family and working full time is my biggest challenge right now, you know. But I'm crafty. I find ways to, you know, to exercise. I power walk the kids to school and run back and jump on meetings, and then where there's will, there's a way.
So what do you do?
Well, at the moment, I am back working for a biopharma company. So I am a territory manager for the company, and I'm looking after 2 states. And New Zealand as well. So I'm looking after a lot of customers. It's a very small company and we're very thin on the ground. So we are all incredibly busy wearing a lot of different hats. So it was very nice to put the phone on out of office and the inbox, computer, you know, email on out of office this week, and just switch off for a little bit.
For yourself, time for yourself.
Definitely.
So what is your greatest accomplishment so far?
That's another tricky one. What is my greatest accomplishment? I think my greatest accomplishment would have to be that I've never been a quitter. I never give in to defeat. I never believe that I can't. People tell me, you know, I read, I'm on different social groups for cancer and whatever else, and, you know, because I've had cancer treatment or chemo, and because I'm now in menopause, because I have osteoporosis, I can't do this, I can't do that. But I think my greatest accomplishment is really never believing that I can't do things, and just keeping going.
That's a great one. So if you could go back in time and meet your 30-year-old self, what advice would you give her?
Oh gosh, I think the first thing I'd do to my 30-year-old self is I'd give my 30-year-old self a big hug. I'd give my 30-year-old self a big, big hug, and I would say things like, you know, you are enough. You are 1,000 times enough, and, you know, take some time to get to know who you are and what you want. Definitely stop trying to aim for perfection and trying to please all the time other people. And definitely it's okay to make yourself a priority. You know, you deserve to be a priority. And also that I had sort of imperfections or things that I wasn't happy with myself about. When I was a child, I had a bike accident and fell over, and I had bad sort of scarring on my forehead, and I hated that about myself. I wore a fringe, I hid myself, and then when we moved to Australia back in the 80s, you know, I was one of the only non-white children in school, so I felt that the colour of my skin was not right. And then when I was older, when I was pregnant with my daughter in England, I was a workaholic. I worked myself so hard that even, you know, in the pregnancy I didn't rest, and I ended up with Bell's palsy. So half my face became paralysed at 33 weeks pregnant. So they couldn't do anything for me. They couldn't give me much. And that ended up being permanent. So I still suffer with paralysis on one side of my face. It's asymmetrical now when I smile. You know, so, and then a few years ago I had breast cancer, so I had surgery, and now I've got more scars to add to my collection. So there's been a lot of things that about myself that I've had to learn to accept. And, you know, now I do. I see scars more as you know, interesting, and they tell a story more so than anything else. And that's kind of, I wish I had that when I was younger. You know, I was able to see it, but I think it took wisdom and it took age to get there. Yeah.
So what would you say to women who are younger now, but they will eventually reach this age?
Yeah.
What would you...
Oh gosh, you know, my daughter is 15, and it's a very hard age to be in now. There's nowadays with social media and everything else, and I can see that whole body image and body dysmorphia sort of happening. You know, you're either too skinny, you're too big, regardless of what it is. They're always striving for perfection, and you know, it's hard when they're influenced at school and everything else, and their friends. What would I say? You know, it's all I try to instill in my child as well, is in my children. My sons are the same as well. They say things and I'm like, where does this come from? You know, why are you saying that you're fat or you're ugly or you're this or you're that? Just to accept, you know, who you are and what inside sort of matters more. If you're beautiful on the inside, if you look after yourself on the inside, then you will be more beautiful on the outside. And, you know, this is what I'd wish for more people to sort of understand.
So you touched already this, but regarding the where do you think this body image comes from? So you said social media and your social circles. So what would it be a perfect body for you?
I think a perfect body would just be a healthy body. And whatever health, and when I say healthy, I mean healthy mind, healthy mind as well. But definitely a healthy body, and that's different for everybody. Some people it's genetic, a lot of them are genetically, they can be slim, they can be bigger boned. But I think as long as you are caring for yourself in whatever way and shape and form that is, and that doesn't mean you can't enjoy life. And I after I had cancer, I didn't drink, I even went vegan for a while. But now I've come back to a good sort of balance, I think, in my life. I will go have a glass of wine if I want it. I will eat that chocolate cake if I feel like it. But for the most part, I try to live a clean, healthy life and get plenty of sunshine.
To take care of your body.
That's it, vitamin D.
So what does it mean to you, feeling good and looking good? What comes first?
I think you have to feel good to look good, definitely. And this is what I've learned. And, interestingly enough, now people say to me, gosh, you look great, you're glowing, your hair, your skin, and they tell me I look better now than I did before I was sick. And I think a lot of that comes from, looking after myself and, drinking more water and just being a lot healthier. But it also comes from my mind. I think I've just let go of imperfection and caring so much about what other people think and, about norms and fitting into, trying to fit into society. I've learnt that being different, looking different is an asset, not a liability.
Yeah, that's true. Sad that we understand it later in life. Well, we already made some mistakes, which we could not make.
That's right, if you could go back. But then I think that, and I think, well, I wouldn't be here now if I didn't go through all those processes of mistakes.
That's also true.
It's hard. I'm working to impart what I can on my kids, but they have to learn their own way too. They have to go and make mistakes and learn for themselves. Sometimes they'll have to learn the hard way. Yeah, but that's all part of living, isn't it? And growing up.
It's a journey. Yeah.
It is a journey, that's right.
So what makes you feel the most beautiful?
There's a lot of things, I think. Some of it is internal, so how I feel in my mind. And some of it can even be external. I mean, I think I'm very much governed by nature and the weather. So if it's a sunny day, even today I was smiling away at any perfect stranger and I was just happy. And I came with, I thought, no makeup, nothing. I didn't even do my hair. I just blow dried a little bit, but I actually felt beautiful.
So simple things.
Yeah.
And my last question, if you have any favorite quote about being a woman or saying or your own thoughts about that.
I thought about this one, and there was one that came back to me. And I wish I had this one when I was younger. And it was such a short and simple quote, and I wrote it down. It's, she believed she could, so she did.
Aww.
Because I had a few others and they were really long, and I thought, you know what, that sort of sums it up, I think. Yeah.
Good one.
She believed she could, and she did.
Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts and your story. And I hope you will enjoy the rest of the day and the photo shoot. And we wish you all the best and health in the future.
Oh, thank you so much. And I can't wait to see my face and my hair after all this.
Yeah.
It'll be very exciting.
If you have an interesting story to share, we'd love for you to participate. You can email us on info@alexandrawalker.com, and that's Alexandra spelled with a KS, or visit our website alexandrawalker.com.